Violence and war. The brutality of ISIS continues. Russians invade Ukraine, and Palestinians and Israelis slug it out.
Does that make you feel gloomy? Don't, because if you look at the numbers, war actually seems to be going out of fashion. While the global population is at an all-time high, it seems we live in the most peaceful period in human history.
How is this possible? Let's explore the complex reasons behind this apparent shift in global conflict.
As of September 2014, there were 4 conflicts that caused at least 10,000 deaths since January 2013.
9 conflicts killed over 1,000 people, and 13 killed over 100 since January 2013. Not really peaceful, but consider this. None of these ongoing conflicts are active wars between countries. They are either civil wars or local conflicts. Although civil wars are terrible, their impact is usually smaller than a war between nations or empires. When 2 nations engage in war, they can mobilize much bigger forces and access all of the state's resources. They also have access to all of the state's logistics and almost all of the population. This contrasts sharply with civil conflicts.
So why have we transitioned from wars between nation-states to civil wars? 2 major factors are colonialism and the Cold War.
These historical events left lasting impacts, shaping the nature of conflicts we see today across the globe.
When the Cold War ended, a major driver of armed conflict vanished. However, this also revealed new tensions.
The breakup of communist dictatorships brought new conflicts in the now freed states, often resulting in civil war. Much more importantly, in 1945, nearly all of Africa, much of Asia, and parts of Latin America were under colonial rule.
By 1990, all but a few islands were independent. But couldn't you argue that today's multinational corporations are just as bad?
Let's look at Congo, a prime example of the brutal reality of colonialism and economic exploitation.
Congo was established as a colony in 1885 by the Belgian king, an area 80 times the size of Belgium. The violence committed against the indigenous Congolese and the ruthless system of economic exploitation were devastating. This exploitation killed about half of the population by 1908. Approximately 10 million Congolese were executed or starved to death.
Millions were mutilated and traumatized. The economic exploitation of Congo remained the top priority. Forced labor never truly ceased completely until the end of Belgian rule in 1960. That's not really that long ago. Oh, no, colonialism was much worse than venture capitalism is today, and it ended just 2 generations ago. Most of the conflicts going on right now are in areas that 60 years ago were under foreign control, former colonies. But things are getting better. Until 1989, victory for one side in a civil war was common. Nowadays, victories are much rarer. At the same time, negotiated endings have jumped from 10% to almost 40%.
What about the rest of the world? Why have nation-states stopped attacking each other? There are 4 major reasons for this. The first reason is democratization. The steady development from autocracy to democracy has significantly reduced interstate conflicts.
Democracies hardly ever fight each other. This trend is evident when we look at historical data. Of all the state versus state wars fought since 1900, only a minority were fought between democracies.
This peaceful coexistence among democracies is a remarkable development in global politics. The second reason is globalization. War is simply not as effective at achieving economic goals as it used to be. In the past, conquering territory was a straightforward way to acquire resources. Today, the global market offers a better alternative.
Today, it's almost always cheaper to buy resources on the global market than to seize them by force. People from other nations are more valuable to us alive than dead, which, overall, is a pretty new concept.
Until World War I, warfare was seen as an inevitable part of the human experience and a valuable tool.
You could use war to achieve goals when diplomacy hit a brick wall. But this perception changed drastically.
Today, we have international rules that declare acts of aggression illegal and stipulate armed force is only justified in self-defense. These rules are still broken, but it's harder to do so without sparking opposition and disapproval. Also, we have an International Criminal Court for War Crimes in The Hague, a very recent innovation in global justice. The fourth reason is that borders are mostly fixed now. After World War II, territorial wars generally stopped. Most countries pledged to accept international borders and respect other nations' autonomy, fostering a new era of stability. But is all of this just an anomaly? Or are we on the road to lasting peace? It's a question for humanity. Truth is, we don't know yet. We need a big enough sample to rule out the historical average of 1 or 2 big wars per century. We just haven't had enough time since World War II to rule out the possibility that war is not going away. If we don't have one major war in the next 75 years, we can be really confident that humanity is changing. So, you see, war might be over. Despite ongoing conflicts, things are getting better globally. Yes, there are nasty conflicts going on in many places, but overall, things are getting better. We can make them even better by speaking up for peace and democracy. The future of conflict is in our hands. These developments offer hope for a more peaceful world, but continued vigilance and advocacy are essential.